Warning to Ford owners who unfortunately have bought a car that now allegedly could spring a fire. And the worst part is there's not even a solution. There's not even a fix yet, and Ford's been trying to work through it. But yet the unfortunate customers of Lincoln Corsairs and Ford Escapes that plug-in hybrids between 2019 and 2024 are highly susceptible. That's right. The battery that comes in those plug-in hybrids are known to have an internal fault, potentially, that could lead to a catastrophic failure. NHTSA? Pfft, you betcha. National Highway Transportation Safety Administration. You know, they're also recognizing that Ford's got well over 100 recalls, and the numbers just keep piling. As they say, found on road dead or fixed or repaired daily. If it weren't for another new recall, you wouldn't know what to do. I sure hope there's no shortage of mechanics for Ford. Actually, wait a minute. I think there are. See, as a matter of fact, the CEO of Ford has commented that they've also got a shortage of mechanics. Something like 6,000 or 7,000 vacant bays waiting for a happy new Ford mechanic to join the team so that they can fix all of these lovely problems. See, but this problem that persists, that seems to be hanging around, that Ford allegedly has no solution for, is related to a battery. The full-size, the heavy-duty, oversized, high-voltage battery that comes in the plug-in hybrid vehicles by the Escape and the Corsair. But this is not the first time we've heard of these problems. See, to remember, it didn't take very long, we can go a few years ago, in the Nissan Leaf. We've heard about them having an internal fault issue as well. Now, some of those, you plug them in, if you overcharge them, you could subject the vehicle, because of lithium deposits within the cells, could cause fires. See, Nissan struggled with that for years. Nissan's been dealing with all kinds of reputational challenges, reliability issues, and now Ford thought they didn't want to be alone, so they would join the ranks. See, but Ford's had this problem now, and now they've got all of these vehicles across the United States, Canada maybe and beyond, that have these plug-in hybrids. Again, everybody likes an Escape, right? Well, not really. Those that buy them buy them because they're a price point. But with price point comes, places where maybe the parts, in my personal observation, aren't necessarily the best of the brand that goes into these cars when they're dealing with price point vehicles. In other words, cars that are the lower end of the spectrum. Corsair is not a high level of Lincoln, and neither is the Escape or Escape. But wait a minute. We've heard of issues like this before as well, not just in Nissan, now in Ford, but as well, we've heard issues. Remember BMW a few years ago? They also had an X5 with the plug-in hybrid. Well, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was a Samsung battery like this one, Samsung SDI battery system, which now is the source of a lot of these questions and these challenges and concerns. And for a lot of us out there wondering, what's the best new technology in these cars? Do I want the big screens? Do I want EVs, hybrids, plug-in hybrids? Do I want just internal combustion? How about diesel engines? Well, let's be honest. Let's look around for a second, shall we? When we talk about the entire industry as a whole, think about it. Some of the most durable engines out there were diesels. They built heavier blocks, heavier heads, better injection systems. And the only thing that killed diesel engines were the fact that they were choked out with emissions. So what's the root cause of all of these problems? Diesel, plug-in hybrid, it's the fact of the efficiency and these mandates that are being placed on these car manufacturers by let's be honest, the federal mandates for emissions and carb testing and all of these other FDAs and all of these organizations that are trying to reduce emissions and fuel consumption to the point now where manufacturers are creating a very technical drivetrain that, quite honestly, is full of problems. And this one is no different. Plug-in hybrid seems to meet the intent for not zero emissions, certainly gets you closer because you can drive around on a short amount of time just on a plug-in. See, that's the benefit with the plug-in hybrid. You can plug it in, unplug it, go for your 20-kilometer drive, come back home, plug it back in again, and never use an ounce of fuel. See, whereas a regular hybrid, it sort of is online all the time, charging, discharging, and it's helping you with a little extra fuel economy. Whereas a plug-in hybrid gets you free range and usually gives you a little better acceleration. But ultimately, every type of technology has its drawbacks. Diesels had the heavy amount of carbon particulate. But let's be honest, if you're towing a boat or a trailer, there's nothing better. I mean, I saw a video the other day about, I mean, you know who it is. I won't mention him offhand, but there was, let's just say, an influencer who did a test with an F-150 Lightning. And the F-150 Lightning is pure EV. And he tried to do a test with something like a 30 or 40 mile round trip, towing a lightly loaded trailer with a car, you know, an enthusiast car on the back. Normally a light load, it should have handled it all day long. And if you follow the prescribed ranges of a lot of these trucks, you'd expect that, you know what, that should be no problem. Light load should get me most of my range. But he was undelighted to find out that he made it literally round trip, barely on a full charge. Granted, it was a little cold outside. That has an impact on these batteries. And herein lies the fact that he barely made it in 100 miles round trip with a fully charged EV. So we ask ourselves, how does this possibly make our lives better? Are the birds have fresher air? The animals, the fish, are they all breathing better? Probably not. When you're loading deposits of lithium and all these other heavy metals in the soil and mercury and beyond, I'm not sure where that leads in the end. I mean, in 5 years, it's not a problem. 10, 20. What does it look like in 100 years? A barren wasteland of heavy toxic metals? Not sure. But herein lies the problem. BMW's had the issue. Nissan's had the issue. Now Ford's having the issue. And how many more? I believe Stellantis also had problems with potential internal faults on their hybrid batteries. See, we're seeing it all over the map. And a lot of it is for the pursuit of efficiency, lower emissions. I mean, we hear all kinds of problems. You get these thermal runaway conditions on EVs. You get gas engines now that are produced to make use less fuel. So they, instead of having a V6, will give you a turbo 4 with direct injection and PCVs that cost you $2,000 to fix, and highly stressed engines that mean you're changing turbos, you're doing walnut blasting to remove the carbon on the intake, and you're doing all kinds of preventative measures just to keep them on the road. They work wonderfully when they're brand new, and coming out of the showroom, they feel great. But herein lies Ford dealing with another problem. That's right, allegedly batteries that could burn. Now, a lot of these vehicles, of course, people want the plug-in hybrid. It seems to meet the best intention of free range. You get some gas. It reduces the isolation or the fact that you need to be tethered constantly. So it seems to be the best technology. But the point is, it's technology. And put it in the hands of a manufacturer. Is it well sorted? Is it not? In this case, it could be a supply chain challenge. It's not yet definitive, but we're hearing the fact that Samsung may be the source of this. Now, that being said, it looks as well they've had a recall in advance before this. See, this particular problem for Ford with these plug-in hybrid vehicles is not a one-off. See, this actually happened before. But on top of it, what they had to do is update. Some of these vehicles last year were updated. The battery energy control module, the BECM, if you will, was swapped out. They had to upgrade this ECU and reprogram and flash and do all this magic and this voodoo. But apparently, some of those same vehicles are back on the list for replacement. Now, is it a battery issue? Is it an overcharging issue? Time will tell. But at the end of the day, many customers and owners of some of these vehicles are finding themselves absolutely stressing out. Do I drive it? How do I own this thing now? Can I use it? Is it unsafe to drive? How about where do I park it? Should I park it outside the garage? Or should I worry about it burning down the house? There's so many stressors now that owners have to worry about. Back in the day, you had a little internal combustion vehicle. You pull up to the driveway, you shut it off, and you go in the house. You didn't have to plug it in. You didn't have to worry about where you parked it because it didn't burn down. You just parked it. And in the morning, you went out and you started your car and you drove away. It was pretty simple, right? Even better when you had manual gearboxes. The problem is nowadays, nobody offers manuals because nobody knows how to drive manual gearboxes. The entire industry has shifted. Too much tech, big screens, electronics, EVs, battery, charging, so much technology, so much electrification, which can provide a lot of benefits. But as we see, there are certainly some major drawbacks. You know, I'd like to hear your thoughts down below. Where do you think the future of this? Would you drive a plug-in hybrid, regular hybrid, EV, or just say, piss on all of it? I just want my ICE. Please drop a line down below. And again, as always, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll talk to you real soon, everybody. See you then. Bye-bye.